Hello, everybody. This is Georgie Dragonfly, and you're now in this beautiful podcast space, Cosmic Hearts Conversations with the beautiful Lauren Aroney. And she's now going to bring herself into this space to speak and share who she is and her wisdom. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, so welcome yourself in. Who are
Oh,
you,
okay. Well, I am Lauren Aroney, and I am an intuitive artist and a divine channel, and I create transmissions of light. So the artwork on the wall behind me, these are all hand-drawn transmissions. They're actually portals of light that bring through light and wisdom and love from the higher dimensions, the spiritual dimensions. And I also do activations for people. And I bring through custom artwork for people to help them connect with their divine essence and help them work through any blockages or limitations they might be experiencing. And I work also with my I am presence. And I help people also connect with their I am, which is their divine self. And I also bring through activation, light and love through the language of light, which is a soul to soul, heart to heart language, which is beyond words. And I can also translate that language that I bring through. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Blue Star Transmissions. I am the blue star, and the blue star is actually Sirius. And the Sirius star portal is part of my I am. And I basically work a lot with my Sirian multidimensional self to bring through a lot of these transmissions. A lot of that's coming from that blue ray, that ray of consciousness. And I also work very closely with the Christ consciousness, which is the golden frequency, which is represented in that center image called the DNA God seed.
Powerful.
And yeah, and yes, you can find me at bluestartransmissions.com, and I do custom artwork and activations for people all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world, spreading that light.
That's it.
Spreading the divine. Oh, and it's such an honor to have you on and what you do. I've actually seen you grow. I remember actually seeing one of your first stuff out in the Keepers of the Code. So to see what you're doing now for the collective, it's just so beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So where did it start? Because of course, there's always a beginning of awareness, at least, to these things. There's probably a very core beginning that goes far beyond what we can maybe remember.
Yes.
But where did it begin? Maybe here on Earth.
Okay, let's start on Earth. As a child, I was always very, very sensitive. So now I understand that as being an empath. So a sensitive child, always very naturally artistic, loved performing arts and visual arts. That just came through me naturally. It was, I never had to really try. It just happened. Music, singing, dance. So that's been a passion in my life. And as I'm getting into my teenage years, early 20s, I start having some really big questions come up that not many people around me are asking. So I'm wanting to know what my life purpose is. I want to know what the purpose of all life is. And I just dive into all these big spiritual questions about 18, 19 years old. And I have this like thirst for it. I can't get enough of just all of this information. I just dived into psychic abilities, ghosts, UFOs, anything I could get my hands on. I wanted to understand everything that couldn't be explained. Fascinated me. So I just researched, and I really just could never get rid of this feeling inside that I had a bigger purpose in life. And I tried to ignore it, escape from it, and it just wouldn't go away. So that's what led me on this kind of spiritual search and that thirst for the spiritual knowledge, which started coming from books and other people outside. And then it starts coming more listening from the inside. So getting into meditation, starting to go to drum circles and spiritual circles where they're sharing and exchanging and open conversations, vulnerability, deep sharing. So yeah, I'm also very introverted, so I spend a lot of time alone in nature, just with my own thoughts, journaling, and just trying to figure everything out and figure out my life purpose, because that drive, that inner calling to know, that was just, it's been so strong pretty much my entire life. And then it's been a series of synchronicities, confirmations, meeting people at the right time with the right information that leads you to the next bit of information, the next bit, the next bit. And I started putting some puzzle pieces together, understanding that firstly, I'm a highly sensitive person. Okay, now I'm an empath, and then learning about star seeds and indigo children, going, okay, well, I am weird, I am different, and I'm starting to open up cyclically to these things that just can't be explained. Then I started working with crystals, and I worked in a crystal, like, new age store for a few years, and that was such an amazing experience because the crystals really helped to accelerate my awakening, my spiritual awakening, my psychic abilities, my channeling. And then I basically figured out that I'm a channel by putting all these puzzle pieces together. I figured out that what I'm actually good at is tuning into certain frequencies and then allowing it to just come through me. And the start of that was actually dance and music, because I always just understood music, the language, intuitively. No one had to teach me. I didn't need to learn the notes. I could just make up dance moves. I could write songs. I didn't need to try or learn. And then that led to, okay, but I can actually channel other energy, which is invisible, these from the spiritual dimensions. And as my psychic abilities awakened more, which a lot of it is clairaudient and clairvoyance, the more I paid attention to those intuitive signals, the stronger they got, and they just build and they build. And in various circles and circumstances, I got the opportunity to actually start sharing my gifts just a little bit at a time, because it's taken me it took me a long time to really find my voice and really find my confidence, because I was such a shy, introverted, sensitive person, and I still am, but I can just express it much differently now than I could before. And I'm much more, I have more ownership over my energy and my frequency that I've ever had before. So, and I've learned to just absolutely trust everything that comes through is from divine source, spirit. I just really trust that everything that comes through me, through my voice, through the artwork, through my words, is for a higher purpose. And I just trust that because it's so much bigger than me.
And what's kind of allowed you to have that trust? There's obviously been some experiences along your journey that have built that trust. It's had to build upon, I suppose. We've had to have, many of us, we have these sort of maybe challenging experiences that actually make us have to question it, or maybe you've just come across some particular practices that have assisted in some way.
Yeah, I think for me, just getting, like, for example, like the light language, which is definitely gonna, I'll be demonstrating that in this conversation. The light language is a spoken language, which it's intuitive and it comes straight from the heart. And I started hearing this language internally, clairaudiently, and I didn't understand what it was until I had a reading from a lady who spoke it to me. And that reading fully activated that language within me, because I understood from a soul level what was being communicated, and it just hit home so hard, and I had such an emotional response to that energy. And then after that, like, there was just a confirmation that what I'd been hearing was a real thing and it had a purpose. And then I just started to be in situations where it wanted to pour out of me and I couldn't actually contain it any longer. And I thought, if I don't let this out, what am I going to do with it? Like, I can't contain this. And I'd just be brave enough to let it out, and in front of people that I knew could receive it, and openly, without judgment. And then I would get a response that was just so heartwarming and beautiful, that I understood in those moments, this is the example. This is, you are to trust this now, just bit by bit, just baby steps, baby steps. So yeah, it's the confirmations for me that have helped me so much. And in terms of practices, I think I've just developed my own kind of meditation energy work that works for me. And spending time in nature is a very important part of practice. For me, just being alone in nature, just with my own energy and my own thoughts, is very, very important. And it changes my energy very, very quickly. Sometimes a lot quicker than I could in a meditation. I'm lucky enough to live by the water, so the water is a very important element to me, and it definitely just has such a soothing, clearing energy to it. Mother Ocean.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like that the language of light also is the language of nature, and you have a kind of that communication really flows through with nature when we're in communication with nature?
Yeah, I would say that often in sessions, when that earth, like the earth mother energy comes through, that definitely has a distinct light language that comes through. The energy is very distinct for me. And it does feel like it comes up from, through the feet upwards to the heart, like up and out. It's a very, very soothing, comforting, supportive energy. And it feels limitless, almost, that pool of that frequency. Yeah, it's very powerful. I feel honored to bring those frequencies through and physicalize it through the voice. I really do.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to when you were working in a crystal shop, did you find that communication came in then? Like, did you find a lot of crystals? I mean, gosh, being in like I don't know how long your hours were in there, but like even like a four
Oh,
or 8 hour shift in a crystal shop.
yeah. The shop was in a mall as well.
Hmm.
And there's just all these different energies swimming around, because if you've just had the crystals on their own, that's enough energy. There's all different types of crystals from all over the world in one room. And then you've got customers coming in and out, and you've got staff who work there, and you've got psychics and readers who work there too. So there's so much energy to manage. And that was my psychic training, was that store. So I learned a lot very, very quickly. But yes, I went through an initiation with the crystals. They initiated me. So it just starts with learning about the crystals, the colors, the frequencies, and they teach you. You get a certain crystal that calls you, and you work with it for a certain amount of time, and then you move on to the next one. So you might start with, it's clear quartz. Okay, and now it's apophyllite. Now it's, okay, grounding, going back to hematite, to ground. And they would call me at certain times, and I would work with them very deeply. I'd wear crystals, tiny crystals, the small ones in my bra. I
Yeah.
was taking crystal essences. I was putting crystals under my pillow. I was meditating with them. I was dreaming about, like, I was fully immersed in that frequency of crystals for quite a while. And they did talk to me. That's what happened. They began to actually talk to me. The consciousness would communicate with me. And I would have someone walk in the store, and I could tell them, this crystal wants to be in your hand. And you watch them hold it, and you go, they're just like, it's buzzing. What did you do to it? I don't know. I just put it in your hand. The crystal's doing it. There are so many amazing experiences I had with people in that shop. I'm very grateful for those, that place, that playground that I got to be in. But yeah, after a while, you're in a mall. It is crazy. Like, I don't know how I did it. I wouldn't be able to do it now. I wouldn't put my hand up to do it.
Yeah, I suppose it's not
No,
something that you need right now, but
no.
that is definitely training and holding in. So when you were saying actually that you, have that deep understanding that you're communicating with the divine, that has really probably been the training ground for that, because you've had to really focus in on, like, what's my energy, because it must be conflicting good and bad energies even in that space, because people are coming in to offload. If they're coming in with psychics, people often go to get crystals because they're trying to resolve an issue or something.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had a bit of a training ground when I used to be a massage therapist, and I was working in a spa, so I was like churning out massages like one after the other, and that for me was my training ground, because it was like, you need to look after your energy because you're just dishing it out to one after the other. And I had to learn to clear my energy properly, to not attach to anybody and not give everything to someone because you want to be the healer and them to have the best experience. It was like all of those learning skills. So gosh, if anyone out there, you feel that you're in like a rugged situation or a quite a high intensity, it's because it's your training, and just focus in on what you're going to learn from that experience, and then it becomes a lot easier, doesn't it? I feel
Yes.
like I
Just
wish I
take
knew
everything.
that at the time.
Yes. Just take it all in your stride, but yeah, take the learning with you, because you're going to use it later, and just trust that you are where you are for a reason.
Mm.
But also know when to move on. I think that's important too. I couldn't quite leave there. Like, I left and then I came back, and then I really knew, okay, no, I'm done. Because you don't want to stop working at that level. It's really beautiful, and you miss the frequency. And my house is, got a lot of crystals in my house, and I still work with them very closely, just not as intensely.
Yeah.
But yeah, trust the training ground for sure.
Mm.
But as a sensitive being who now understands that I'm a channel, um, I can also be a sponge, and I'm learning to keep my energy clear and sovereign so that I'm not a sponge. But the reality is, I am wired to be a transmission tower. That's why I call it the transmissions. That's what I am. I'm a transmission tower. That's what I do. I tune into the frequency and I bring it through. That's what I do.
Mm.
But I think there is an initiation that happens with light workers, starseeds, healers, where you do have to go through a process of maybe being too open and too free with your energy. And then unfortunately, people take advantage of that subconsciously or consciously. You get drained, you get burned out, you don't fully understand why. You might get physically sick a lot, have reoccurring health problems. And then once you start, I call it reclaiming your energy. And that's literally calling back your own frequency and calling back the energy you've given away. And most of the time, that's actually, your immediate circle and your loved ones, because you have cords of energy connecting you with the people that you love. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is actually creating boundaries with the people that we are closest to.
Mm.
And that can be an ongoing challenge. But it's doable. And I can really say from my experience, once you start reclaiming, you do feel different and your life will flow differently. Like, I can really attest to that. I've been in really dark places in my life where I have felt completely lost and completely alone, and really felt like I don't know how to go on. Like, I have this life purpose, but I don't know how to actualize it. And it feels like an uphill battle, and I'm completely alone. I don't know how to do it. And completely in that realm of depression and self-sabotage. I've really been there. And, as soon as you just start to, like, for me, I got fed up. I was fed up with myself. I was like, I'm fed up of this is not the life that I want. And I just started making small decisions that changed my frequency and really gave me my power back.
Mm.
The personal power, like, the solar plexus, the sacral, really reclaiming that and clearing those energy lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, gosh, doing this kind of work, it is quite unique, and it's as some people say, it's like it's cutting edge. It's like we really are paving the way. There's wait, you're a complete way shower to this. So to overcome that, feeling of, gosh, what am I doing? How do I create this in this reality? How to make it a thing, to actually you know, we're coming away from maybe working like a traditional job that would be like, you know, my family always say like the bread and butter job. I don't know if that's like a saying
Yes.
in Australia, but
Yes, it is.
but you know, deep in your soul, you know, in your core, that you have a higher purpose, a purpose that is your true beingness. It's why you came here, because being a star being, being connected to the multidimensional realms and having that honed in this reality is for a purpose. It is for a reason. It's not just come out for just a little bit of casual, you know, fun and play on your part, although it can be.
It can be.
There is also like an element to like, no, we're bringing this in for others, and it's like it's a
Yeah,
gift, isn't it, for
it really
humanity?
is. Yeah,
Mm.
it's a gift to be able to just do the work. It really is an honor. Just every single part of it is just, it really is.
Mm.
Um, when I started really, when I committed to doing the transmissions, which was the artwork, you know, the hand drawn, and then it kind of expanded into other things. When I really committed to that work, I already knew that I already knew my higher purpose before that, but I just had to actualize some avenue to begin. But
Mm.
I know that my higher purpose is to help others remember that they are divine beings.
Yeah.
That's it, because we are all source energy, and we, each of us, are these beautiful, unique expressions of that. And that is just, I just want to celebrate that. And I want people to be able to celebrate that from within themselves, because that
Mm.
is the truth. That's the truth. We are beautiful, unique, divine expressions of source, and there's no one like you in the entire universe. And we're on earth at this time of this awakening. This is just, it's beyond words. There's no words. So yeah, that's what I'm about, celebrating that. And I do attract star seeds. That's my business. That's what happens. I'm here to, you know, help other star seeds recognize that they are star seeds. They are star beings in a human body. They are multi-dimensional beings
Yeah.
with many, many, many gifts that they can bring here. And, you know, a theme that's been coming through with clients is that, you know, we've maybe had some lives here on earth in the past which have been traumatic, and where we've tried to live our purpose, our higher purpose, but it hasn't been received well,
Mm.
or we've had some just really bad experiences. And it feels like in this life, for a lot of star seeds, we get to do things on our own terms and actually really be seen and appreciated for what we're bringing. So I'm all about that. I'm all about bringing through your unique frequency, like your gifts that only you can bring, and really celebrating that and just inviting that to expand, because we really, you know, humanity and the earth is going to greatly benefit from your gifts.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's had to be a journey, I suppose, of you discovering that. So where did it, like, so you started to have the light language actually come through you after that reading. So was it
Mm.
the spoken that started to come through first for you? How did it develop?
Yeah. So I guess it all comes into just understanding that I'm a channel. So I kind of put the puzzle pieces together that the art has, the art can have a higher purpose if I direct it in that way.
Mhm.
And the music and the words and the language is all for this purpose. Like that's the point of it all. And I get to decide which form it takes, because for a long time I'm like, I want to do just the music, or I want to do just the art, or I want to do just some kind of spiritual teaching. And I just couldn't figure out how to just kind of put it in one. I couldn't just do one and forget the others. And I just struggled for so long of how to kind of put it all together to be offered as kind of one offering. And then it's like, well, I'm offering me, I'm offering my frequency. And that actually just, it just made sense to me. Like, I don't have to package it or call it this or do that. It just has to be, this is me. And the higher purpose is bringing through divine source and love and healing and helping other people recognize that they are divine. I mean, I had to just nutshell it like that, because that felt like the truth, and it is the truth. So the light language started coming out. I started being brave enough to share it. It's taken me a long time to also just open up my physical voice. I had a lot of limits with the physical voice as well. And then, yeah, I started drawing more, and then I started drawing things that were a bit different. I was like, oh, that looks like a crop circle, or that looks like I don't know what that is, a made up language. Like, what is that? And then I'd start completing these drawings, and then I'd hear a title of that. And then I'd have information come with it. And I was like, that's interesting. That's not happened before. And I just started trusting that more, instead of just putting it to the side, like, oh, that's just, your crazy imagination, just making that up. That's not a real thing. I turned into that mode of actually trusting that it had a higher purpose. And that did change it. So as soon as I started trusting, then more clear information came through, and guidance. And then I started sharing my drawings on Facebook. And then I found the Keepers of the Code page, and I found this whole realm of light code creators. And I thought, wow, this is my tribe. This is it. And that just kind of snowballed from there. Just that the response from the very first transmission was amazing. And I just kept sharing it. I'm like, well, this has an audience, so it's obviously important. And I just kept sharing and creating, and then wanting to get better at the actual physical art and, all of that. And I love the process of creating the art. It's a meditation for me. And then I started to trust my guidance more and more, and started to offer, I call them meditations. So guided meditations in circles. So I did a few of those where I was channeling the light language, channeling through, taking people on multidimensional journeys. And then I got pregnant with my twins. So I had to just pause everything for a little while. And then when my twins just turned 1, that was right around the time of the current situation that we're in. And I got a very clear message from Spirit, and it said, you need to put this out now, like put your transmissions out now in a completely new way, so it reaches more people. So they're like, make a website, blah, 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 do this, do that. And I just fully trusted that and did it. And then everything's just expanded naturally and with flow from there, from the trusting. Yeah. And the response from tribe, understanding what these symbols mean. They're like resonating with the artwork, going, I've seen that in my dream. How did you draw that? I've seen this in my meditation. When I looked at this, I had a complete download, or all these different experiences to sustain, and they continue to astound me, honestly. And I just, again, building on the trust. Okay, keep going, keep trusting. This is it's benefiting me too. Every artwork that I bring through, I physically draw. So that is the embodiment of the code, the frequency. It gets born through me, and it gets embodied. So, yeah.
Is there a process that you go through for each one that you draw? So I imagine it might be slightly different as well, how you experience doing, say, like a collective code to a code for like an individual. So I'd love to know a little bit about those processes and how that feels and what you experience and what comes up for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so I'll take one artwork as an example. So this one on the wall, the triangle with the golden sun, that's DNA Godseed. Now that particular energy is depicting the great central sun energy, which is like a pool of source light. It's a very, very powerful frequency. And at the time, I was basically getting flooded with this energy. I was working with it directly, and I just completely, I don't know, came online with it. And it just wanted to run through me like this current of energy. Like, again, with the transmission tower, it just wants to flow because it can. And I had to physically get that energy out of me. I had to physicalize it. It's like this intensity that kind of builds up. And it must come through. Like it's like it has almost an urgency about it.
Mm.
And I know that that's one that must kind of come through quickly. Other ones, I kind of feel like a packet of energy, like a download that comes into my field, and I can feel, okay, the next one's there. And most of the time I'll just get trickles of the frequency or a symbol. So most of the time I'll get like, they'll show me the first symbol to start with. Like you have to draw this circle here, you have to draw the triangle here or the diamond, and that's the starting point. And I just start there. So often I don't know what the whole thing is going to look like. I don't. I just trust from the first circle, and then it builds. And then as soon as I've done the first bit, I know they show me the next bit and then the next bit. So it's an unfolding for me too. I'm literally, again, trusting step by step the unfoldment. It's the same. It's quite similar with a custom one. Usually with a custom one, I will do a Zoom session with the client before I bring through their artwork. But I need to make a connection with the client so I can feel their frequency of their higher self and their I am, and of just, you know, their aura as well. Like what are the main colors and frequencies they're bringing through? Like, is it angelic? Is it a very star cosmic energy? Is it a strong earth energy? I'll just get those kind of impressions.
Yeah.
And again, I'll get the general color scheme of what the artwork will be. But again, it starts with the first circle, the first shape. Sometimes with the custom, they'll show me a little, literally, it's like a snapshot in my vision of what it can look like at the end. But sometimes it changes a little bit. So I always have to still have to trust the unfolding of the pencil on the paper and the next line, the next dot. Yeah, as it unfolds.
Yeah, so it's exciting even for yourself, you know, you don't know. It is a whole, because like I think a lot of like say like classical artwork, often it's something, not everything, of course, but you know, you'd look at an image, you say if we were at school and we're doing our GCSE art or whatever grades you call it, and you know, they'd have a plant pot and some stuff on the table and everyone would sit around and draw that from that angle, or they'd ask you to get some imagery and draw it, and so it's all from like something that's in this reality. Whereas for this kind of artwork, it's totally coming out. You're really tapping into that quantum field, tapping into other dimensional realities, and viewing and getting a view of that. And you know, you can often see sort of its geometry, because if it's a really high vibrational format of even like a being in itself, isn't it, can come in forms of geometric patterns. So, you know,
Yes.
it's like viewing, it's like drawing a viewing of something from like a completely different perspective of reality.
Yeah, that's it. But
Yes.
yeah, the sacred geometry is its own language. I mean, it truly is the language of God, of the universe. Everything, all matter on earth is based in some geometric form at its tiniest level. Like in school, you're taught about atoms and molecules, and you get, you know, still that classical picture. I think they've updated it now. The picture of the molecule and then the atoms around it, and it's this little thing spinning, right? But the actual model of the universe is all sacred geometry. That's it. If you like a snowflake, the spirals in nature shows you what it is. Nature has all of the secrets. It shows you everything. The
Yeah.
shell, the nautilus shell, that's all geometry. This is not by accident. It's a divine pattern of the universe. So when you are looking at any kind of art that is based on sacred geometry or literally has sacred geometric shapes like the Merkaba or the flower of life, you are looking at a physical representation of God, of source. It's just in these different, slightly different frequencies and representations. So that's why we resonate with it, because we are it.
Yeah.
We are geometry. You know, this is part of who we are. It's part of the entire universe. And I am obsessed with sacred geometry, and I have been ever since I started researching it. From crop circles, I was obsessed with crop circles. My entire wall was covered in printouts of crop circles. I had folders printed out of them. I was obsessed. And that's how I found out about sacred geometry, because there's the shapes and I figured out, oh, that has a name, and there's this whole thing called sacred geometry. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know something? I absolutely love crop circles as well. And I feel like what the artwork is very similar to that. It has the same similar function. It can do anyway. So something I was doing just intuitively, I'd like print off artwork, draw artwork, and then put it in like a plastic wallet, and then I'd put my water on it, or I'd put crystals on it and start making crystal grids on it. So things like that. Because I wanted to charge my water, and I was drinking the energy, and I was like, yeah, And then a few of my friends, they started doing it. We were all doing it, and then I watched this documentary on Gaia with Freddie Silver. You might have heard of him. He's like
Yes.
amazing books on crop circles, and he was talking about it. He's actually printed off all these the crop circles, got pictures of them, and then they're on like a card, so you can use them for medicine. And they were making tinctures with the medicine of the crop circles, and I was like, whoa! Like I've literally been. That's kind of what we've been doing. Like what you draw there, that is essentially like a crop circle, and can be used to. I mean, we can do it just from visualizing on it, probably laying on it. I've practiced that before, like meditating, actually laying on the artwork to like really absorb that energy. And
Yeah.
people have come back to me as well when I've experimented with other people, and they sort of say, "Oh, yeah, I can feel the energy. I can feel it moving through my body." And it's like, this is, you know, come on, guys, like this is amazing that you think it's for someone might just look at it and think, right, that's a pretty picture. It. Oh yeah, I can feel a bit of something, but gosh, what we can actually do with it and how it's really working in our physical body and in the energetics is yeah really profound. And yeah, there's so much we can actually play with it as well. That excites me.
Yes.
Is
I
there
love that you said play with it. I like that a lot. Yeah. I think that's an important element, is to play.
mm,
As before, I said I work with the Sirian energy, and that's the whole kind of ray that's guiding the blue star transmissions.
mm,
And that frequency encompasses the dolphin energy, which is very playful and very pure and very, very loving. So when you said play, I could just feel their energy come in a bit more.
mm,
But the Syrian energy, they're very advanced with sacred geometry. They have mastered it. They tell me, this is what they say about the civilization of Sirius. I could talk a lot about Sirius. They've taught me a lot. But the Merkaba, which is this blue star here,
mm,
and on the other side, those are both the Merkaba. There's a lot you can do with the Merkaba, like a lot. So one thing they tell me about the Merkaba is that it is like you can place information in it. It's like a crystal. You can program it
mm,
to contain a download of energy, a snapshot of energy. So I can create a little energetic Merkaba in meditation, say, put something in it, and I can send it to you and you can receive it. And
mm.
that's a very conscious way to work with it. But it's also a reflection of the geometry of our energetic field.
Yeah.
And it has and also the heart chakra as well. There's so many ways you can use it. Anything, I think, frequency wise, that you use with intention and love is going to be powerful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And this can all be done intuitively. Like once you really start to trust your inner guidance and you have some kind of understanding of how energy works and how to communicate with the universe, you can really make profound things happen and call things in for a higher purpose that helps people and the earth. And this is what star seeds are here to do. We really have access to these other dimensional frequencies, technologies, and tools that can really actually practically help people and free people. Because as you know, on earth, there's a lot of limiting frequencies. Everything wants to keep you down because at the core level, we are limitless, powerful beings.
Mm.
And once we start to, awaken that, you can't You can't turn it off again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You become free. So this work that we're doing on this level is really, really important. And it's really important to ground it and bring it through to people, bring it into this plane. I was saying to a soul sister the other day, like, we could easily be part of this great awakening from the spiritual dimensions. That would have been too easy.
Yeah.
We wanted to be here. We had to be here. We had to be in body for this part of the show, so to speak.
Yeah.
As a reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at my hand, I don't know, I didn't even notice. I just got my
You
hand a
have a
little
mudra.
mudra here. There's lots of activation going on right now.
Oh, awesome.
um,
Mm.
so just to, yeah, that beautiful message that you've brought in here in regards to the Merkaba and what you experience with your, Syrian aspect, and even you could say your entire family there. Um, um,
Mm-hmm.
so how did that relationship form?
Mm. A lot of puzzle pieces fitting into place and confirmations, but I literally, again, the clairaudience, I kept hearing the word blue star over and over and over. And it was an unfolding to understand all the connections. But once I started understanding that I was a star being and really just owning that, I did start to explore, well, I want to know where I'm from and what I'm bringing through and what's important. And there was this sort of exploration of reading it and about different frequencies, Pleiadian and all these different star systems that people were talking about. But again, it was just the blue star in my head. It was incessant. I was actually doing a lot of songwriting at the time, so I kept writing it. It just came out of my mouth, like just tunneling it. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
And then again, with the artwork, for some reason, when it came to be calling it something or giving it a name, that the name just came instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was no question of what it was.
Yeah.
So again, just puzzle pieces falling in. It wasn't some one moment in ceremony or something where it was like light bulb. It was just these little progressions of confirmations and again, trusting. I've said that so many times in this conversation, but it's so true.
Yeah, it's
The trusting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and how is this relationship just built up, and you've kind of been exploring a lot of the different geometric patterns and the symbols and how they come in for you, and you've also, well, I won't go into that yet. We'll go into this. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Just the more of the if you could just expand more about the teachings and understandings of the geometric patterns that have come through this lineage.
Mm. I'm just closing my eyes because there's like energy coming through. So, so the transmissions, which are the artwork and the combination of the light language, all of it, they are templates of light. They're just they're like bridges between dimensions. So they literally anchor these higher frequencies onto the earth plane so others can access them and remember them from within, because these are all, outside going in, but it's actually inside going out. It's both. And I'll tell you right now that I'm not always given every single bit of information about each artwork or transmission, because it is beyond me. I just trust what it is. And it's so hard to explain. Yeah, the geometry is just a reflection of the new frequencies that are being seeded upon the earth. So it's like a lot of the transmissions are actually speaking to people's DNA at that level, the cellular level, the DNA. We've had a lot of our multidimensional wisdom and knowledge turned off. And that's a whole, different story of information I could get into, but that's what's been happening.
Yeah.
And then the transmissions help to turn all this back on. So it's like if you imagine the DNA strands have all these little tiny light connections on them, and they literally get turned on. And as soon as they do, they can now access this information. It's like a nodal point. And then all these lights go on, and then there's this remembrance from within. And this is a really big part of the awakening, is reclaiming all that we are,
Yeah.
from the deepest level. Like, we're not just spiritual beings, we are God presence embodied.
Mm-hmm.
And in the human body, the human DNA is so unique. There is nothing like us. There are humanoid star beings, but humans upon the earth have a really special gift. Like, we are this beautiful experiment of, again, the physical manifestation of God source. There is no place like Earth in the entire universe. We are this library. Like, if you look at just the biodiversity, if you take humans away and you just look at the plants and the animals, the insects, the crystals, the biodiversity is astounding. If you've ever watched David Attenborough, I love David Attenborough, love all of his work. He's an absolute earth angel. We live in a library of divine source. You know, just think about all the unique expressions of source that are just in the animals alone. And then in the human body and in the human DNA, we are carrying literally the cosmic library from the universe of all these different star beings and star races from everywhere. So imagine the wisdom and the knowledge and the love and everything that can be brought through if this is fully activated. Like, this can sound like absolute woo-woo to someone who's new, but this is what I now know to be absolute truth. So a lot of this is activating and bringing this wisdom back. It's this returning. And, you know, all of the ancient cultures upon the earth have all held these different puzzle pieces. And again, their unique frequency and expression of divine source. And, you know, we have the ability to literally put all these pieces together and create something completely new. Like, yeah, they tell me so much that our potential is just beyond what our human mind can ever actually comprehend at this time. Yeah. And the Sirian, I'll just continue because they're saying the Sirian energy is like, it's like a big brother spiritual guide energy, overseeing the ascension. So there's been a lot of investment of energy and time and planning that's come from the Sirians and a lot of other cosmic star races who are working with the Sirians, planning, even just planning for all the star seeds to be here now, like just the planning of that over time and dimension. This has been a long time coming for the remembrance to be reborn. And it's like you said before, we are treading new ground and we are constantly creating. We are just paving a new path with every step and every day. It's not been done like this before, this awakening, and it will never be done like this again. It's literally a once in a lifetime experience to be a part of this awakening on the earth of humanity. Yeah, it's really big.
Yeah, extremely. Activating actual conversation right now. Like, I can feel that there's going to be a lot of people feeling those little tiny, DNA microscopic activations going on. So if you're feeling anything, just allow that experience, just surrender to it, and just take that space for yourself to integrate it. You know, if you're doing anything that could be distracting, just take a seat and just really observe that, and really observe the energy that's happening and that opening and that space for you to receive the divine activations that are happening, and just sending you all the love right now. I find it really interesting that you have the ability to actually translate this energy as well, and actually translating the language of light. Do you find there's a difference between the language of light and the languages of multidimensional beings, because I think there can be, in my experience, potential entangled perception of that. So if you have any viewpoints, I'd love to hear that.
Yes, I would love to share that. There's actually some language that wants to come through. So what I'll do is I'll let it come through,
Yeah.
and then I can definitely go into what you're asking me about the different languages. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So this is definitely the Syrian energy coming through, and it's just all very, very blue. And it's very, very loving. And it's definitely accompanied by that beautiful dolphin frequency, which is so playful and light and loving and free. Lisa keton fukulasan tali kakikano sa kontoli kantapol. Biaso akanto lukesal ketbutu sampuleketa. Mukalisi katal kasikalion buvedaketa. Bushinkalai kapushikan likita. Bushitu tinkal, but sunterikinta pulhitu besikal busikute sakadekede pusaketu. Ushantu kutekete pusikete and kishikanto. Bushantali kashantali kanta. Bushikete letinta. Bukano. So the dolphins beings are just, they're literally telling me they're bringing through geometry, they're bringing it through in this conversation, in this time, this moment, in that frequency. They're literally saying we're bringing through the geometry, which is perfect for this moment, for this remembrance, for this from the Syrian, which will go out to who it needs to go out to, so people can feel the resonance of the truth that's being spoken. Wakanto kanta likito kosampuko te kenta keswaketali sampuhyati equita. Bushukila nikal sikantuli kalvusikweto mikali kanata. Oh, they're saying the light that's being brought through, the activation with talakinto, it's like the sunlight when it comes and hits the flower bud, the flower just opens and you will just receive. That's such a beautiful image.
Yeah.
As in, like, back to the DNA and the understanding of how this energy is being absorbed into the being. That's how they're saying it's being received. It's like the spiritual light comes in and the DNA just automatically, it knows to open. This is the nature knows what to do.
Yeah.
It knows, it has the intelligence. This is the intelligence of the universe. That's really cool. The stuff they show me. For me, the language of light, it feels like it comes from the heart. I could feel the different tones and frequencies of the different, so the Syrian energy has a frequency, the dolphins has its own frequency, the divine feminine, divine mother has its own frequency. And what it does for me when I bring it through, I can feel the frequency in my heart first, so I know what I'm translating. And then I just allow to come through the voice and just trust the sounds. Sometimes the sounds can be really jarring and loud. And I still have to trust those, even though I might be concerned about how someone might receive that. Even the thought of, like, I need to actually quickly prepare this person that this is coming through, so they could just a little bit be prepared to receive. But sometimes the energy is like, we don't have time for that. It just needs, sometimes the energy comes in to break the frequency, to shift it very quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of cut through any like doubt or overthinking. Sometimes it'll cut straight through that. Yeah.
So do you find you have like different dialects and they work differently, and you can observe the different uses and like benefits, should we say, from each frequency?
Yeah, they definitely have a different physical feel, and then there is this dialect that will come through. Yeah, and sometimes it does sound like an earth language. Like sometimes it feels Spanish or French, all different kinds. Sometimes it's, it sounds like a real true ancient language, like it was actually spoken in a certain civilization
Yeah.
that comes through. But for me, it's all kind of like translating the frequency through feeling and emotion. That's a really big part of it.
Mm.
And I've been fortunate, I think, I've got the right instrument. Like I've always been able to imitate voices and for some reason, and accents. So that's obviously, I've just designed the instrument so I can actually do this work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But I had to go through the initiation of opening up my voice. Like I always wanted to be a singer, and that
Mm.
was a really big drive for me. And it took me a long time to actually even physically go to a singing lesson and have a vocal coach work with me. Like I was so terrified to sing in front of anybody. Like I really couldn't. So to go from there to now, where I really trust everything that comes out of my mouth, even if it sounds really weird, is a big journey to get to where I am.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, you can expand on that if you want to, like, for those that are maybe sort of needing to lift and speak their voice, would you recommend anything? I always used to say, like, just go off in the car. When you're in the car, you're in a safe space on your own
Yeah.
to belt it out.
Yeah. I did a lot of singing by myself. I found singing songs like big ballads into my karaoke machine before I got a proper microphone, whatever. That was so emotionally freeing for me. Like I really there were times I allowed myself to just sing, just to sing. It doesn't matter how it came out.
Mm.
There was that emotional release with the song. But yeah, I had this instinct to be a singer or to sing, and I guess that drive was the thing to open my voice. So I couldn't ignore that feeling, because I was just like, I need to do this, and I don't know why, but I have to do it. So I
Yeah.
just kept pushing myself, and eventually, I remember the first moment I sung a solo on stage in front of this big audience, and I'd done it. I was like, I can't believe I did that. Like that was a huge moment for me, and I was just so happy and so proud of myself. And that was a moment when I was young, and I just never thought that was even possible. So from then, I was like, wow, I can do anything I really put my mind to. Like that's an important thing to learn. If I want it bad enough, I will make it happen.
Mm.
And I'll push through all of my doubts and anxieties, which were very big, to do it. And now I understand why. I fully understand it, because
Yeah.
I had to be open to being an instrument.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you
I
have
didn't really
different
have a
dialects?
choice.
Do you have different dialects that sound, even just, like, say, like dolphin, if they're like a bit more clicky? Do you have those sorts of sounds come in and?
Yeah, I had some whale type sounds come through with a client not long ago.
Mm.
And it's more like I can't imitate it because I don't want to imitate. Yeah, it did sound like a whale type song, because a lot of what I bring through is also actual song and like sort of musical sounds as well.
Yeah.
And those are the tough ones where you're like, oh, I'm really trusting here that this is but again, you're trusting a feeling. It's like the feeling leads the way. And then that's the thing. It's like, okay, we're just going with that flow, and we're going with that river. So
Mm.
yeah, different dialects, tones. Sometimes it's more like just tongue movements. I get guided to do sounds with my hands, even clapping movements with the hands to help the energy flow.
Uh-huh.
um, I'm often just moving a bit when I'm letting the energy flow through. I often find myself doing that.
Mm. What's your perception of the
Yeah.
hands?
It's
What are we
just
doing?
guiding it and helping it flow. um, Again, with the dance and the movement, it just
Mm.
comes. It's just there. Again, it's just, you are receiving this physical light and energy, and it just wants to move. It's
Yeah.
all in movement. It's the same again with the nature. Everything is in movement and in balance and in communication. I can't not move when it comes through. It's got to go somewhere,
Mm.
it it has a current, the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because people quite often they'll ask me, "What are you doing with your hands? Then what's that doing?" And I say that, and I also said about, actually sometimes I feel like as if I'm moving the geometry that's going on. You know, we can't see it necessarily, but you're placing it in places, and it's almost like you've got this board, you know, like you see in those films where they're like sci-fi films with like a you know, like some kind of see-through projector of energy, and it's like you've got a board and you're like doing something on
Yes, absolutely. I've always seen those scenes in sci-fi movies and go, I'd be so good at that. I'd be just like, yep. Yeah, it's so it's right there. But
yeah.
yeah, I definitely, when I'm working with clients, I'm putting things in, I'm placing it, I'm activating, open that bit.
Mm.
Yeah, all of it. It's just like you are guiding it and placing it. That's absolutely it. I
Mm.
love that you do that too. And I have noticed your hands from the moment we came onto the call of the mudras and
I've
yeah.
always, actually, even before I was aware of light language, I've always moved my hands since I was really little. And I'm going to do it now. Sometimes I can't actually talk without, it limits me talking if I'm not moving my hands. You know, I'm like that kind of action. Even if I'm doing this, I'm pulling the energy through and
Yes.
it's coming along. Yeah. So like, people would comment on that when I was younger. They're like, "Why are you moving your hands? You're moving your hands all around when you're talking." And it's like now I get it, because it's an ability to pull in probably higher consciousness through whatever conversation is happening, regardless of whatever, even if it's not necessarily like a conversation that we're having. There's still
Yeah.
some movement. Mm,
Again, it's kind of, yeah, it helps with the expression.
mm,
I'm even thinking about you know, the vocalists, like if you see them do a cappella, I actually watched one of Craig David do a recent song, a new song of his, and his voice is truly angelic. If you listen to a cappella, his voice is just beautiful. But I watched this video of him doing a cappella in a church with just a piano.
mm.
Oh, it really struck me. But he was using his hands to do the notes, and I do that as well with certain songs. You kind of need to place the notes with your hand to get it in tune. So
Yeah,
I really it was really cool to see him do that too. But yeah, it's the same thing. You're expressing it, the energy, you're guiding it.
yeah.
And as a person who's always been shy and introverted, yeah, sometimes it does help you to actually express yourself. It helps you. It's a tool. Yeah,
Mm. So that's just like a whole other form of the language of light in a way, or is it, maybe it's just an
I
assistance
would
with
say.
it, but it's definitely bringing it along. And yeah, I've noticed that with musicians, even those that, you know, yeah, where they're not stereotypically seen as spiritual, but when you hear them, what even if the songs are like not even happy, they could be really depressing songs, but you can feel the frequency that's coming through. If you actually tune into that, you're like, whoa, like they're bringing something
Yeah,
in. They
they
don't probably
are.
even know it, but they are.
Oh, the sad emotional songs were my favorite songs to sing because they have so much depth and they're real. They were my favorite because it's the emotional body that kind of gets fed and expressed. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Oh,
yeah.
so on that note, and I know you've already put a little bit of a transmission through within this, I'm wondering if there's anything else that needs to come in today for those that have been listening.
I will just tune in. There is something there, so I'm just
Okay.
gonna sit and allow to come through. And again, I'm moving my hands. Look, I'm rubbing my hands together. Again, it's the Syrian energy, and it feels like it's really directed at the star seeds. It feels like it's really wanting to speak directly to a certain group of star seeds. Maybe they're on the Blu-ray. It doesn't matter. We don't have to understand. We're just going to allow. So all you have to do is just be open to receiving through the heart the language of light from the higher dimensions, from Sirius, Star Nation, Wakita Sanko Kento, Mushi Kweto, Kantarwi Sikileto Shikweta Kanmi Kweta Kasankwede Kanaka, Bushin Mawai, Mukwetarita, Kosunkulika Heko, Kondele Kintare Bushi Kintomi Santur Gitikan Pukal, Bushin Talesinquele Santale Kinto Wishakan Puyatinta, Bukenta Sinkatil to Suntileteto, Puqueta, Inialeal, Kuyato sinkalia nukuka. Buasia. Buasia nan kuyanto sunkitu kumia kretsanto kule. Yantukenita. Pusikalmu yantukuya nanake. Pukuretenka. Kuyate poete uniatiake noyatea. Ooh. Yeah. Kua se kuia tikino ya tikasano i tukumpo kata kanarika. O akalia no ya sialo no cuenta cantalia ta kasankwetua ko patea. Moshik hanto sikalo suntur kuya pusa kanambo pepe. Hampuli sintalo quento makate. Kwasaketeke, amapu, 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 anani. Wea, 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 wea. And just feeling that they're like the Syrian master guides, and they're just offering love and support from the higher realms. They're just saying, we are here, we are here, we are right with you. We are on earth as the star seeds, we are you. And they are saying to me, they are saying that there are things coming, developing, that are going to be brought forth that will amaze you and will astound you. And it's coming very, very quickly. And we're not just saying, energetically, we're saying things to be manifested upon the earth. So just be open and ready and have your guidance turned on as much as you can, because you're going to need it. Yeah, and the same, to always trust your heart, because it truly is the heart of God. Your heart is a reflection of the heart of all that is, the divine, the cosmic consciousness. And if there is a secret, it is this, the heart. And we say to you, the star seeds, the way showers, the light workers, the light tribe, the more that you open your heart, the more you will receive, the more you will remember, and the more that you will be able to shine your light and welcome others home to the light within. And so it is. Hikano sakotatu, mukale ishantalika, kosoto tikalina, mukala seta, weshalaritikai, nasonto tikatalum, poshintalikate, alisa tal pusikatalimo kikanto, halika sito tukisanto, yatika, opushandali, kesen, washantili do santoli akasampo kelata, wishantukent, pushikat ale. That was just for you, that last
I
bit.
know, I was like, I just want to reply. I was like,
You should. Yeah.
Yarana shano kurumananari ish, unaramon kurrent aish, mara eandarama o kurumotur, mas amar mora ashana ara Dikara asautum botoeshanar isikiar
I felt that really yeah. I felt and received in my heart. Thank you, dear one.
Thank you.
I see you.
See you too.
I don't know about you, but please tell me you've seen Avatar. I mean, most people have Avatar. When they did the I see you, I got so emotional with that because I was like, where has that been my whole life? I know what that means. I love that. But yeah, I see you.
Yeah, yeah. I had
Yeah,
a real awakening actually from watching that film.
you did.
Yeah. I won't go into it here, but
That's
yeah,
for another time. You can tell me about it. But that film was very activating. Um,
extremely. Yeah.
thank God there are artists that make sci-fi films because sci-fi is so an important part of the remembrance too.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was
Mm.
like, that's home. Um, so thank you. It's been an absolute divine pleasure and an honor to be sitting in space with you. Yeah, just feeling so much love and an abundance of the true heart expression. I'm really feeling that. So I know we've spoken before, but is there any specific offerings or anything that you have at this time for people to go and find you and receive?
Yes, thank you. So everything I offer is on my website, which is bluestartransmissions.com. So I have art prints and I do custom transmissions. So custom transmissions are usually a custom artwork on A3 size paper and some kind of activation, whether that's an activation through a Zoom call or it's written in words or a recording. So at this moment, I have a wait list for my custom transmissions because they're sold out, but please sign up for the wait list because I will get around to everyone. This is my life's work. So I think I've got time to get around to everybody who was seeking that connection and support. But all my work is really, it's really about supporting star seeds in their awakening and really owning their power and their light and their gifts.
Yeah, phenomenal. Thank you. And yeah, just thank you, thank you, thank you. And everybody, just please go and follow Lauren's work and, just be present with this, stay tight and know that this truth is upon us all and it's all within you. So, sending you all the love and the blessings. We'll see you next Friday. Thank you. And do give us a follow. Reach out as well to Lauren if you need to just, or myself, even if you have any questions that have come up in the show. But for now, sending you all the love.
Thank you so much. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful heart, for